If you started out this year with lots of goals and ambition regarding your crochet journey and where it was going to take you, then this video is for you. But if you are a person who is just enjoying being in the moment and learning kind of as it comes and just taking it nice and slow, I'll catch up with you in the next video, because today I want to talk a little bit about what you can do if you did start out a little more ambitious and now that we're halfway through the year are kind of feeling a little off track. This happens to me all the time, and not just regarding crochet. It's pretty much every aspect of my life. So if you are like me, I want to chat. It is so easy just to feel like the year is escaping, especially when you're a busy person with responsibilities and things you've got going on. And it's easy for time to slip by. And then as you start heading into fall, I feel like sometimes we get a little more refocused, but it's not so much focus as it is maybe like panic. Any fellow procrastinators out there probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It's so easy when you feel like you have so much time available and you just kind of put things off. So then at a certain point, you realize, oh my gosh, I don't have a ton of time. And at that point, you just like kick it into hyper focus, kick it into overdrive, and get stuff done. This year, I definitely want to avoid that last minute, like quarter four, total frantic feeling and go about things now, because mid-year is the perfect time to reset. I am going to leave a link down in the description box. It's for a Canva document that I created. I created it for the beginning of the year, but you can use it at any point in time. If you've already downloaded this and printed it off and everything, it's free, by the way. If you've already done that, you want to grab out your goal sheet, or like anything you wrote your goals on. It doesn't have to be mine, but grab out your goal sheet, and now is the perfect time to revisit this. If you have made it thus far into the year and haven't really defined what your goals are, now is the perfect time to do it. So either way, you're not behind or ahead. It's just starting where you're at and figuring out where to go from there. For me personally, my big goal for the rest of this year is going to be to really work at creating my dream wardrobe with crochet. I know that's an all year thing. In reality, for me, I really love wearing crochet in the fall and winter and like early spring, where late spring and summer, I'm not really wearing a lot. It's very humid where I live. It does get pretty hot. And so while I know there are definitely tons of things that you can crochet for summertime, my focus is going to be more the moderate to cold weather items. Now is the time that I need to go through, relook at my goals. Was there patterns that I wanted to do? Was there stitches I needed to learn to do these patterns? Is there particular yarns that I want to buy? So that could be color, that could be weight, that could be fiber content, any of that stuff. I need to look at that and see if I'm going to create this dream wardrobe for myself. What do I need to get in line with that goal at this juncture, at this point in time? In July is when I'm recording this. So this would be a great time when you're looking at these goals, whether they're written down or they've just kind of been like mental goals, is decide what's realistic for you. Have you changed your mind on anything? I think that it's very easy in the beginning of the year. You're seeing all these cool things. For me, that's like temperature blankets. Everybody starts doing them in January. They look cool, but it turns out like I hate doing them. So that is not a project for me. But, it's easy to get swept up in things. So look at your goals and be like, does this really fit me right now? Does this goal really still, do I have a desire to still accomplish this at this moment? Or is it something that I got swept up in? Is it something that was a trend and really isn't popular now? Is it something that I just flat out don't like doing? Anything like that. Realize if it's a realistic goal or not. And that can also be whether or not you have the skills and the time to complete that project in the rest of the year. And while I think most everybody is capable of learning things and applying them, it's whether or not that time frame like fits into your life and your schedule. Complicated designs and really large projects, if you're dealing with a time constraint, it just might not be feasible. So while technically you are capable and able to complete it, can you do it in the time frame you're looking for? If it's just a project for you and you don't care when it gets done, then absolutely take it on. But if this is something that needs to be a gift for someone, so there's a timeline, or if you have a bunch of projects for other people lined up and this big project for you would interfere and prohibit you from getting the other projects done, then you might want to scratch it off your list for this year and add it to next year's goal list. But put it at the top, prioritize it, have that be a January project that you can kind of dig into after any holidays and stuff are over. There's absolutely nothing wrong with recalculating at this point. I actually think it's important you do this so that you're not stressing yourself out and causing undue emotional baggage. Like, crochet is what we do to be positive and feed our souls, not to drag us down. So since we're talking about end of the year projects, this is the perfect time for you to look at your goal sheet and did you have gift giving items on there? Because you can, if you have specific projects in mind for people, you're going to want to start early. And while, like I said, it's July when I'm filming this and it is hot, the end of the year will go quickly. And if you want to take your time, enjoy making these projects, not have to rush, then I would encourage you to start now as we're entering into Q3 of the year so that you can take your time. Now, I did a video last year and I'll link it above here where I, in December, took on several projects to make for people for gift giving. In that video, I kind of talk about how I already knew my patterns, like pretty much these gifts, I made everyone hats, were going to be one of two patterns. So I limited my patterns, I limited my yarns, and I was able to really kind of crank these out in an assembly line manner. So I do think you can get a lot done at the last minute, but I feel like for me anyway, it definitely kind of limits my creativity and, I have to bring it in and really focus and make things as easy as possible. If you're doing individual, personalized projects, I would encourage you dig into those now. And this will also give you time if you do need to learn a stitch or a technique for one of these projects. It'll give you plenty of time that you're not panicking later on. I know, there's things that aren't even really very difficult, but it's like, okay, so like a corner to corner is an example for me. I've done several of them, but it's like every time that I want to do it, I have to go back, watch a video, refresh myself, and just kind of go from there. So definitely learn those stitches, learn those techniques so you're not panicking. I'm going to move on. I felt like I hung on to that a little too long. Another thing I hear from people a lot down in my comments is that, they need to stash bust or they're in a stash busting phase. And now is the perfect time mid-year to analyze what your goals were that you wrote down or you have on your phone or in your head and decide, how can I go through my stash? Start pulling things out that you haven't looked at in a long time. See what you actually have. I feel like sometimes when we have something there on the shelf, that it stops registering to our eyes at a certain point. So it's like you see it, but it doesn't really register. So really take the time, pull a few things out, look at them, and see if these are yarns that you want to prioritize bumping up. I know I've had yarns that I have bought for specific people, and I kind of forget about them. And so especially if we're going back to the gift giving, if I'm looking at that in my stash and I'm like, oh, that's right, I bought it because I wanted to make so-and-so a such and such, then I can pull that out and be like, okay, this is going on that project list. I'm just going to get this done now. So as you're going through those yarns and comparing them to the projects you want to do, Something that's been incredibly helpful for me is a use first bin. I had just like a bin, this is just one from Dollar Tree that I had picked up. I just threw in the yarns that I wanted to use first. Like, it's nothing revolutionary or anything. It was pretty darn easy. But when I walked in here, I just had it sitting on the trunk and my eyes went right to it. And I was like, oh, like if you just need a little bit of guidance or reminder like I do, it's just a gentle reminder like, oh, boom, right here. These are the ones you wanted to use. Let me put in a quick disclaimer here. I would never be so rigid that if something else came up that I wouldn't do it. Like, I get sidetracked all the time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I really don't. But if you are trying to accomplish things and get certain things done that will make you happy, make you feel fulfilled, you might feel a little bit cruddy if another year goes by and you don't do what you had said you wanted to do, then that is why those gentle reminders can really, really help. I will link the video of my used first bin up here, but I am in a little bit of a reorganizing project, and I'm not sure how much I'll end up sharing because I've had to break it up a little bit, but I've actually switched my used first bin into a giant used first tote. And the reason being is that, you know, earlier in the video, I said I really, like, it is a strong desire for me to really create some wearable pieces for me for like my dream wardrobe. This doesn't mean like all crocheted, like a whole big outfit. Like, it's hats and scarves and tops and sweat, like things that I can combine with other pieces in my wardrobe to have things that are just like totally Shannon. I went through my yarn stash and I started pulling out everything that like I was in love with, just color. It wasn't really based on anything else. It was just things that I wanted for my wardrobe. And I had enough that I ended up putting it in a giant tote. I also had certain things in mind that I knew I wanted to make. And so I went through, and when Joann's was having a massive sale on Big Twist Value, I ended up picking up quite a bit of that in the colors that would work for my wardrobe. I guess a quick plug here for myself. If you're interested in seeing kind of how that all comes together, I would love it if you would subscribe, just so you'll know when that comes out. If you want to see some additional footage that I don't necessarily always share here on the channel, I have a monthly email. The link will be down in the description box. It's totally free. I would love it if you would sign up. It's just got some different things going on, but I do also put out an exclusive video just for email subscribers in the email. So that video where I unboxed that Joann Big Twist Value was in, I believe it was the email that went out just at the beginning of July. So shameless plug over. I don't in any way want to imply that you need to be setting crochet goals. I know, especially in the beginning, I just wanted to know everything and I was just having fun learning everything. That is totally fine. Like I said, crochet should never be anything that causes stress. It should be like taking your stress away. So yeah, please don't misunderstand and think that I'm like, you have to do this, because that's not what I mean. It's just more for the people that kind of set out in the year with some things they wanted to accomplish, and maybe that's gotten pushed to the wayside. I'm just here to kind of help you get that organized and get it into gear. So I hope the rest of this year works out exactly how you want it to. I hope you get as many or as little projects done as possible. I want to thank you so much for talking yarn with me today. It is always a pleasure, and I look forward to hearing from you down in the comments. Bye.